Well, we did a performance video on the Losi 124th scale short course truck. This is the brushed and this is the brushless. And I forgot to turn the brushless off. So I ended up killing a battery. Well, I went to my local hobby shop and thankfully they had some mini batteries. They're Predator 350 milliamp hour 25C discharge, 2.5 amp discharge, so gives it a little more initial punch. It did have a different connector, so I had to take the shell off and take the cover off the receiver and everything, and wire in a new female connector. And then I got a little curious about the brushed version. I was like, okay, well, if the brushless can go up to 11.1, what can the brushless go? I mean, the brushed. How many volts can it take? And I'm not going to, well, yeah, I'll take it off real quick. And I'll show you everything that I won't take the cover off completely to show you everything that I had to do. All it is soldering, cutting and soldering two wires, which is basically the battery connector wires. But it's still the regular 27 megahertz, but now it is Lipo. In order to do it, you can see right here, 4.8 to 7.4 volts. Well, a Lipo 2 cell is 7.4 volts. So I actually had bought two of the batteries. So what I did to the brushless, I did the same thing to the brushed. It's now a Lipo. The increase in speed is absolutely amazing. I would compare it to the brushless version with the 4.8 volt nickel metal hydride battery that a lot of people got with the very early versions, or if you actually made the swap yourself and you didn't have a Lipo. These are fat, so it is a very, I mean, you can see it's a tight fit. They're actually a little too fat, but it will slide in place. They do have balance leads. Like with the brushless, you have a balance lead that comes out that you can charge it without taking it out of the car, and it just pokes itself right back in there. But basically you have to unplug this, take the crystal out, and just wiggle it because you don't want to rip anything, and eventually it will come out. Just work at it. It is a pain in the ass. See, there it comes. And then you have two screws back here. Two screws, one on each side where my thumb is. Two screws right here, and one screw right here. So 1, 3, 5, 7. 7 screws. All you do is take them off. You cut the black and the red wire that leads to the battery connector, which I think everybody knows what the stock. It's a little white battery connector. And you make sure to get the female, I can't remember exactly what they're called, but you make sure you get the female connector so you can actually go to these Predator batteries or whatever battery you would like to choose. This is what they had, so it's what I got. And it's actually, with the brushless, it has more punch because it is a 25C. It doesn't damage anything. It actually has a quicker steering rate. And with the brushless, with the brushed, the speed increase was absolutely, it impressed me. I'll just say that. I was like, wow, holy shit. I'll quickly take it out and show out in my living room, as long as my camera lady does not get me in the picture, seeing that I am just wearing my boxers. I'm sure YouTube does not want to see that. So we're going to put the lid back on. I think I reconnected the servo. Yes, I did. So we're just putting all the body clips back on. And you got to remember, this is brushed 27 megahertz. That's the one downside, is it is still 27 megahertz. But in just a second you will see the difference. My fiance is actually going to press the pause button, and then the next thing you will see is us out in the living room, and I am going to show you how fast a 7.4 brushed is compared to the 7.4 brushless. So let's pause and go out to the living room. We're going to start out with the brushless. Everything's still stock. It's just got the 25C discharge, 350 milliamp hour, and we're just gonna give it a straight line run. Let's do one more straight line run, and then we're gonna go to, we're gonna move quick, camera lady, so try to keep up. Okay, now keep your camera on the brush while I run and get the brushless right quick. Brushless is coming back. Okay, so that was the brushless. Now let me show you what the brushed does. If you can't afford the expensive brushless conversion, or however it takes to, it's actually 175 compared to 79. This is what the brushless does with a Lipo. Oh, wait, I didn't have my antenna out. Okay, let's go again. Not an incredible increase, but you can definitely tell that it basically does what the brushless does at 4.8 volts. So if you don't have the money to go brushless, just get the brushed and go Lipo. The one thing that sucks about the brush version is eventually the brushed motor will go out because the brushes do not last forever. And one thing I learned very well was always make sure when you are done, shut the little fucker off. Because I read that it actually has Lipo protection, and it does not, because I went to charge the stock 225 milliamp hour dynamite battery and it would not charge. And this one's still on, so I'm gonna shut it off so I don't kill the battery. But the improvement is absolutely amazing. I would have never expected that much of an improvement, but I guess the extra volts and the extra 1.5 amps really pumps up the output of the motor. So it really makes a big difference if all you can do is stick with the brushed. Just get yourself a 2-cell Lipo The brushed can only take the 2 cell. It can't take 3 cell like the brushless. The brushless can actually take a 3 cell, which is 11.1 volts, but you're getting a little expensive there for a battery. These 2 cell batteries were $7 a piece. When you go to 3 cell mini this size, you're looking at $20 or $30 per battery, and these are tiny little batteries that do not last that long. Well, they actually last quite a while for such a small vehicle, but if you were to put them in a larger vehicle, they're basically receiver batteries. That's the amazing thing. But since the trucks are so small, they can use such a small battery because it's using such a small motor. If you ever get a chance, just take your lid off and look at how small. All it is 7 screws. Just undo the 7 screws, make sure you ain't even got to take them out of place. Just loosen them and they'll stay in the lid, and lift up the lid and you can actually see your motor and the receiver ESC combo. And be careful when you're putting it back together, because the lid does actually hold the servo in place. So you want to make sure that your servo is back in place correctly. If you are running indoors, you are going to want to make sure frequently, especially if you have a cat, take your wheels off. They do run on bearings, but cat hair will get clogged up in there. The speed run I did earlier, actually there was some cat hair clogged up in there that I had to fix. And when you're tightening these nuts, tighten down and then do about 1/8 of a turn or 1/4 of a turn loose, so it'll spin freely. These are actually a little tight in the back. I need to loosen them because you don't want them to be pulling the hub up against the bearings, because that'll create more resistance. But very fun cars to experiment and play with, and they're cheap. So especially the brush version is cheap, and sadly it does come with 27 megahertz. The brushless 2.4 gigahertz. So, but if you can't go brushless, go Lipo. It'll definitely make your truck go faster and give you some more fun. So yet again, until next time, peace.